Established local eateries often get Filipinos lining up for a seat. And the Vikings group has found enough success to expand to a variety of cuisines. How is it carrying on with market risks this year, like rising food prices? We're speaking now to the group's Chief Marketing Officer, Charles Lee. Charles, thank you so much for joining us. The group has many brands and branches around the country. How are you managing the risks of the weaker peso and higher interest rates?
Hi Rico, thank you for having me. So as of now, what we do is because of the issues that we're encountering right now, we're scaling back. We're scaling back in terms of our expansion plans. I think pre-COVID, we were quite aggressive in terms of how we expand our brands. As of now, creating brands is still in our pipelines, but we're just being very careful in how we do this. As you know, monetary costs are higher, which means transaction costs are also higher.
You are scaling back on your expansion plans. Are you also scaling back on the number of dishes that you have in your buffet? Charles?
No, we're not doing that. So we're not doing that. We're not scaling back on anything in terms of our current lineups. Food and services will still maintain the same. It's just more of the actual pipeline branches that we initially had pre-planned pre-COVID. We had to scale those back and then sort of reorganize ourselves and look at how we were during COVID and how we're going to move forward with it.
But of course, COVID, and then you have now rising prices, the depreciation of the peso. It's a double whammy for the food industry. How are you managing to keep your prices reasonable?
Honestly, the price right now, kasi we actually increase our prices over the years due to inflation. But what we've noticed is that consumers have actually still visited us and enjoyed our food despite the price increase. We've noticed kasi na parang people were cooped up in their homes for so long that they actually come out now and just enjoy.
How many percent have you increased your buffet prices, let's say, over the past 3 to 6 months because of rising prices?
We're looking roughly about 5 to 10%.
Not a lot, huh? I mean, there's a rise
not a lot.
There's a rise in the supply side, but there's also a rise on the demand side. Like what you said, a lot of people are on revenge eating. No, they want to go out and about and enjoy rather than cooking at home, sometimes which could be quite expensive. They'd rather have a buffet in a restaurant and enjoy for like what, 1,000 plus pesos per head.
Yes. So yeah, like you said, we are seeing a revenge consumption right now. People have been locked up for so long, for 2 years, that they're just coming out right now and just spending. People we've noticed are just enjoying the company, they're enjoying the food, they're enjoying the drinks. Despite the inflation, it's really the revenge. No.
What are your tips right now, Charles, for people who want to get into the food business? I know there are a lot of challenges. There's a balancing act. Would you advise new entrepreneurs to get into food? Because they say it's in the food business where you can make money.
The advice I'm going to give is that make sure that you give value to your food and service. If consumers don't find the value, they won't come back. Kasi right now, we all know naman the wallet sizes of our consumers are shrinking. So they're looking for value.
And what about businesses facing major challenges in their food business because of all the hurdles that they have to face? Rising food prices. A lot of the ingredients right now are imported.
I think be practical. That's all I can say. I think be practical. If you think that it's going to be a struggle, you're going to bleed too much, I think maybe look at another alternative, but be practical.
And in this time of day, how are you also trying to improve your customer service and the quality of your food for your customers?
We do a lot of research on our end. We do a lot of training, refresher training. Our chefs are constantly having R&Ds. There's always a non-stop research. We always change our menu. We make sure to refresh everything so that consumers keep coming back and enjoy our services and food. Para hindi sila masawa.
That's true, no? But how often do you change or refresh your menus?
Usually quarterly. Pero it depends. Sometimes you have certain dishes that we change on a weekly basis, but it really depends on the executive chef.
And what kind of new dishes do you usually introduce on a quarterly basis that will make the experience different for your customers and for your returning customers also?
Okay, honestly, so we don't have a specific menu or specific dish that we a specific section that we change. We usually change pretty much all the station. We do give the creative freedom to our executive chefs to create dishes for their buffet line. Kasi we don't want to restrict our chefs. Kasi at the end of the day, the chefs are creative people. So we give them the creative freedom to create dishes as long as there are parang standard stations that they have to follow now. But other than that, dishes, they have the creative freedom.
And with the rising number of Omicron cases, we now have more than 2,000 a day. Is this deterring consumers and clients from still going into restaurants?
Honestly, as of now, we're not seeing any deterrent. I think people are just, at this point, majority are vaccinated. Their perception, they're looking at living with the virus at this point. I think they're learning to just live with it.
All the best to you, Charles, and thank you so much for sharing your business insights right here on The Final Word. The Vikings Group Chief Marketing Officer, Charles Lee.